Oh, Pastor Lawrence, you clueless protagonist having absolutely zero clue how much the saint wants you. My gosh, Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence is probably easily the sugar show of the season. This is the one that if you need a little bit of pick-me-up, this is the show for you. This is the show that you just kind of sit down, relax, and enjoy the cuteness of it. Just get that diabetes in your system. A series that, yes, kind of relies a little bit too much on the dense male character, but at the same time, seemingly has plenty here that keeps you smiling. But this is my first impressions of Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence, a series airing in the summer 2023 anime season, so let's jump right into it. Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence opens up with, well, Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence. Pastor Lawrence is a pastor of this one little village, and at some point in his past, he ends up running across Cecilia as she was abandoned on the side of the road. And he brought her in to take care of her, to come to find out that she is what they call in this world a saint. See, at some point in history, saints started appearing in the world, and they're these people that are blessed by the gods to sort of take care of the people. It's the role of the saint to protect people within an area. And in Lawrence's past, he was drilled into his head that if he ever came across a saint, that he would protect the saint. It is the job of a pastor to protect the saint so that the saint can protect the people. So yes, now in this small little village, in this church, he's taking care of Cecilia. Cecilia is taking care of the people, and they're just enjoying their time together. But that's all on the surface. Underneath the surface, when nobody is around, when the public is not around, we get to find out the true nature of Cecilia. Despite the fact that she is beautiful and she takes care of the people, and it seems like she has everything together, whenever everybody's not around, she's a slob. She kind of slouches around and doesn't want to do anything. But then as soon as the public shows up again, she's kicks back up. And it seems like Lawrence is the only person that's allowed to see this side of her. She's more comfortable with him and kind of shows this other side of herself, which yes, starts to get into the oblivious nature of Lawrence. He doesn't realize why Cecilia does this, why she's comfortable around him. That yes, what we realize really quickly, Cecilia loves Lawrence. Really loves him. But unfortunately, Lawrence doesn't see any of this. But he does make it his duty in order to protect her, take care of her, feed her, all this kind of stuff. And as the episodes go along, we see the daily routine of Lawrence as he takes care of the church itself. Cecilia listens to people's problems. They go out into town. You see how much the people of the town really do love and cherish their saint. And then eventually we have the appearance of Abel, who was somebody who studied at the same school that Lawrence did. And we get a little insight into how Abel used to actually take care of Lawrence before Cecilia does. Yes, the kind of interesting thing is that it's not just Cecilia that's special in the story, but Lawrence is special as well. It seems that Lawrence is almost like a magnet to things that are spiritual and angels. And so while Lawrence is always protecting Cecilia, secretly, Cecilia has always been protecting Lawrence, constantly layering on protections to keep him safe, even to the point where he gets sick because he's gotten too many divine blessings upon himself. And Cecilia sees that Abel was doing this for the longest time before she even met Lawrence. Even back at school, he was constantly putting protections on Lawrence. And it seems like this is something they don't want Lawrence to know about. So it's kind of a secret burden being placed upon them. They don't want him to worry about that. But yes, it does give you a sense that Abel really did care for Lawrence, but at the same time, just how much effort Cecilia is putting into somebody that she cares for. She wants to get stronger. She wants to get to that point where she can create a barrier that can protect the entire city and Lawrence in return. Having demons drawn to him is an obvious bad thing, but equally angels and fairies. There's also this kind of undertone story that it seems like Lawrence himself wants to keep Cecilia a secret. If anybody were to find out that Cecilia was here, a saint, obviously the nobles and whatnot, the corrupt ones, would want to come in and steal her away. Because again, she creates protections for people, even though the entire town knows that she's there. It's like, I want to keep it a secret. The entire town knows. So my thoughts on Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence. I really do like this show. I think it's just super cute. Yes, pretty much most of my enjoyment is really around Cecilia. She's absolutely adorable. I love her nature. She's so kind-hearted. She's literally too pure because she is a saint. She can't lie or anything. And that's sadly like 95% of the show is Cecilia. And I think that's by design. This is going to be one of those shows where you kind of watch it because you like this perfect waifu character that's super cute and does goofy things when nobody's looking, and that sort of is a lot of character for Cecilia. Unfortunately for me, that's where it kind of bugs me a little bit. We've gotten a little bit of details about Lawrence himself. This is a character that, yes, is a good person. He does good things. There's obviously a reason why Cecilia likes him so much, is that he just got a good nature to himself. He wants to help people. He was kind of raised by his grandfather, I believe it was, to focus on protecting the saints because the saints protect the people, so it's kind of a give and take aspect. But besides kind of getting into Abel and a little bit more history of Lawrence and the idea that Lawrence has this curse or something about himself that he draws in spirits, demons angels, fairies, they all are drawn to him. And so Abel had to at some point, and now Cecilia at this point has to like put protections on him to keep him safe. As to why he's drawing in this stuff, that's the big question mark, and if hopefully that'll get into an interesting story later on, but that all sort of adds mystique about Lawrence, but not necessarily character to Lawrence. Now, here recently with the third episode, it sort of gave us hints that Lawrence is starting to pick up on that Cecilia likes him, but that's where we get probably my biggest issue with the show so far, is that Lawrence is sort of a one-note character. He is the dense protagonist. He's the one that all the jokes and story around him is that he misinterprets the situation because he doesn't get that Cecilia really likes him. If she asks him how I look in this dress, he goes, "Oh, it looks good. Here, cover yourself up." It's just, it's so frustrating in the end. It's like, I know there's a comedy around this aspect. It's not lost on me that this is a joke. The joke is the dense protagonist. But I think at this point, we've gotten so far away from a lot of anime that do that, unless it's like a really dumb harem show, that it's sort of frustrating. It's sort of insulting in the end because you're like, oh, so this is your shtick. Like, I hope that you have something else here. Okay, stop making the joke about the fact that he's so dense. I get it. It's not that funny. And that's kind of where I struggle. But outside of that, that's fine because while Lawrence hasn't done much and I'm hoping that they'll do more with him, the show is technically carried by Cecilia. Her good nature. She's super cute. She has this pure nature about her. She likes to do things for Lawrence, even though she's kind of lazy and doesn't do much. She puts most of her efforts into secretly protecting him. She has a caring nature, and yes, like I said before, there's this purity about her because she's a saint that she can't lie or anything, and she gets frustrated whenever Lawrence is able to lie, but she can't. I'm curious if they'll actually do something with that later on. There's this aspect that the saints themselves, because they receive divine revelations and stuff like that, and they protect people from disasters, you would assume that they have to stay pure, and lying is a way of removing that purity. So I'll be curious at some point, maybe they might play on that a little bit in the idea that she might have to lie at some point, and how does that affect her? There is a question mark of how you can humanize something that technically doesn't have any flaws. Yes, Cecilia has flaws in the idea that she lazes around, but it's not as if she does impure things. I'm assuming that maybe we might get an aspect that possibly saints aren't allowed to love because then that would make them impure. So I'll be curious if they might do that stuff later on, mess with that kind of stuff about the fact of how pure she is. It seems like her being in love isn't removing her powers, but that also could be why she's not as powerful as she could be. One of the driving forces for Cecilia is that she wants to protect Lawrence. So she casts layer upon layer of protections upon Lawrence to the point where he literally gets sick. Like he gets a headache because he doesn't know why, but they figured out through her talking to Abel that, yeah, you're putting too many layers of protection on her. Like she's lost count how many layers she's putting on it because she can see the angels and the fairies drawing to him and she's trying to get him away because even the angels can harm him. But she strives to get better at being a saint because she wants to protect Lawrence and yes, the people around her. And I'm curious if possibly why she's not a powerful saint. It could have been that she was discarded because she wasn't a powerful saint. But I'm wondering if the reason why she's not a powerful saint is because she's, in a sense, being further and further away from a deity because she has love for somebody on Earth. If she can't lie, you assume that she can't be impure, and in being in love is technically impure by some definition. So I'll be interested if they do anything with that. For now, it's kind of just an added bonus to give it a little bit of mystery to the story as to why Lawrence is drawing things in and how Cecilia works. Abel was okay. I do like the fact of getting into how he used to protect Lawrence before Cecilia. But at the same time, Abel enables... This is a joke, I'm sorry. Enables an issue that I have with the show, which is he's pointing out the cluelessness of Lawrence when I already know that he's a clueless protagonist. And so it's like, okay, now you're just emphasizing the thing that's like the weakest part of the show. The strongest part of the show is the chemistry of Cecilia and Lawrence, just not the clueless protagonist parts. And I'm really hoping that they might fix that here soon. It's sort of showing signs that Lawrence is starting to get it, and then I'm hoping that gets acknowledged, that way we can get away from that joke. Because having 12 episodes of this is going to get really tiresome. It's had a lot of really great moments with that, though. I will admit, I do like the umbrella scene, the people passing by and giving Cecilia an umbrella so that she can stand under an umbrella with Lawrence, and it was just like the rain suddenly stops. It was like, oh, this sucks so bad, and then she falls and then gets princess carried. Her ability to switch back and forth between being lazy or not was super cute. It's had a lot of really great moments, but for the most part, it's just a very sugary show. It's just a show that I love watching to smile at. There's a lot of elements about how Cecilia's sort of helpless on her own, how she nearly falls over in a chair and he has to save her. It's cute in that regard. I really like it. I'm assuming at some point we're gonna have the big reveal that somebody finds out about Cecilia, because they've already kind of put way too much emphasis on the story already about how they want to keep Cecilia being a saint a secret, even though the entire town knows about this. We're going to somehow keep it a secret. Nobody will find out that Cecilia is a saint in this small town. Because, yeah, they're hitting heavy on the idea that a corrupt noble or somebody would want to come here and steal her away. Because it's a small village, why wouldn't a noble come in there, capture her, and use her for their own benefit? These saints protect their lands from disasters and stuff, so yes, a lot of kings and nobles would want to steal her away to protect their lands. They haven't really indicated that these saints are everywhere. It's just that they have appeared, and so there's probably a monopoly on the saints themselves. I would assume that even the most flourishing lands are because they have a saint protecting it. So I'm assuming before the end of this core, we'll probably have a point in which somebody comes and steals Cecilia, and then they have to go save her. Visually, it looks okay. I do find the backgrounds to be extremely plain. That might be the style of the manga, I don't know, but the characters themselves are really well designed. I think Cecilia, like I said, looks super cute. Lawrence looks okay. Abel looks okay. For the most part, most of the character designs I like, but yes, let's be honest, it's all about Cecilia. But yeah, so far, I'm enjoying it. I'm getting sick of the clueless protagonist aspect, but that unfortunately seems to be the shtick of the show, so I'm gonna have to get over it soon. But other than that, I've been enjoying it. I think it's cute. I've been waiting for this show ever since spring. It was supposed to air in spring, and they delayed it, so I'm really happy that it's finally here. Saint Cecilia is adorable, and I cannot wait to see more of her. Which is really a shock, because when I first seen the previews, I'm like, this can go the route of Amaro-chan, which I'm gonna get sick of it. The whole, like, lazy monster type of concept, the lazy gremlin, and it didn't, thankfully. But anyhow, that's my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what you think of the series so far if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Just if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does, and y'all take care.